Hi all. So I have a very quick video for you this week. This will probably be our quickest video because we're really not learning anything new this week. This is mainly just a week for you to work on peer review and revision and to turn in a really great final draft. So I'm just going to real quickly kind of review the different things that are due this week so that information is hopefully very clear for you, ideally as clear as possible. But of course, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to email me. I'd be more than happy to help you with that info. So what was due Sunday night? I know some people asked me via email. What was due Sunday night was your rough draft of your paper. Hopefully it's a very complete rough draft, but enough a rough draft nonetheless. And so you posted that to a forum just like you would have a discussion board question. The idea with this forum is for you to have random partners for peer review. So ideally, review the person who posted their paper below yours. I know some people may be posting late and that may throw things off, so just do your best. You don't need to do it today, it's not due till Friday, but get in there when you can and download their paper and review it. What I would really recommend is sending a message to your partner. You may not be able to review their paper today, but go in today and send them a message. You can just talk right there on that discussion board the way you would normally respond to them for kind of the weekly discussion board assignment. Just do that, but say, hey, I'm the person above you. I'm going to review your paper. And, because they could maybe email it to you or something if you share email addresses there. Use the forum to talk back and forth. And so hopefully everyone's squared away with a partner that way. Like I said, if you have any confusion or anything, email me. And then to do the actual assignment, you just go into Files, there's Peer Review Worksheets, and you just download the one for the first paper and answer the questions on it about your partner's paper. It's pretty straightforward, but essentially I'm looking for the things we've been talking about: clear thesis, clear topic sentences at the start of body paragraphs so the reader knows what the paragraphs in the paper are about, good use of analysis, critical thinking, and logic to prove your argument, good transition sentences, a solid conclusion to tie everything together, and of course, incorporation of the research you've been doing. So just answer those questions as best as you can, and get it back to your partner. I have Friday as the due date. That way your partner will have most of the weekend, a couple of days to look at it. But if you can do it sooner and get it back to your partner, that would be great. You also have to turn it into me, so you just submit it the way you would submit any other assignment on Canvas by going to the assignment page, and that's considered a Dropbox, and you just click the submit button and find it on your computer. But also give it to your partner, so you can either give it to them in the forum by copying and pasting or attaching a Google Doc, or if you exchange emails, then you can swap worksheets that way as well by emailing the worksheet to each other. So make sure your partner gets the worksheet so that they can use it to review their paper and improve, but also make sure that I get it so that I can give you points for it, credit for doing it. So that's the first of the three things that are due, and I just posted an announcement and sent out an email about this, so that information is there too. That's the first of the three things that's due. That's the peer review worksheet that's due Friday by midnight. By Saturday at midnight, you have this week's discussion board post, which is a really simple discussion board post, and that's just there to kind of have you cognitively reflect on your work. I have to do a discussion board each week because that takes the place of what we would be doing in class if we met in person. And then finally, your final draft. So by Sunday at midnight, your final draft so that I can grade it and give you some feedback on your paper. I'm really looking forward to reading these next week. Curious to see what you guys have come up with after, weeks of just kind of getting to know each other online. I'm excited to read your papers and kind of hear your thoughts more than I have already in the discussion board and whatnot. So those are the three things that are due, when they're due. Hopefully that's clear. I'm not a big stickler for these due dates until Sunday. As long as everything is in by Sunday, that's all I'm really concerned with. As long as you get that peer review back to your partner. Don't give your partner the peer review on Sunday. That's not enough time for them to really use it to help them. So make sure you get that to your partner by Friday or sooner. But in terms of getting the stuff to me, as long as it's all in by Sunday, including the discussion board post, I'm fine with that. I just put different due dates on there so that you're not trying to do everything on one day, but I'm not going to grade any of it until Monday. So keep that in mind, but get it all turned in and do a really great job on the final draft. I don't want this to be just a video about due dates, though, I do want to kind of teach you something, if you will. So I'm just going to take about another minute and give you some of my best tips that I know for revision. Revision is an absolutely key part of the writing process. We never write a good paper out the first time. The best writers in the world do not write a good paper the first time through. So these are some of the things I've learned over the years that have helped me with revision. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard is, I'll say it slowly here so you can really take it in. The conclusion to your first draft is usually the intro to your second draft. The conclusion to your first draft is usually the intro to your second draft. And what this means is that we oftentimes don't know 100% what we're trying to say, what we're trying to argue, until we go through the writing process and actually grapple with these ideas in the process of writing a paper. So you'll probably come to a really great conclusion, a really great thought, an epiphany, so to speak, when you finish your first draft. But that won't be reflected all throughout your paper. And you have to think about your reader, and your reader wants to know what the paper's about from the very beginning. So when you go back, revise, make it consistent, so that great thought you come up with in your conclusion runs all through the paper and it doesn't just show up until the conclusion. You want to put your best foot forward the whole way through. So that's one piece of advice. Another piece is to write for readers, not yourself, which is really hard. Writing is basically something we do in isolation at a computer, but we're always writing to an audience, and so it's really kind of self-contradictory, which means we have to seek out someone to read our paper, which is why we're doing peer review. But I would still recommend getting more than just one opinion. Have family, friends, whoever you trust to read it. Make sure they can be critical and objective, that they don't know you well enough to kind of just give you the benefit of the doubt, that they're really going to give you some objective feedback. When you write a paper, you have these ideas in your head. I'm speaking from my own experience here. And when you put them down on paper, it all just makes sense to us. It makes sense to us, the writer. It does not always make sense to the reader, no matter how obvious or how straightforward it seems. So you've got to seek out that other reader that'll be critical to tell you, hey, this doesn't make sense. You need to say more here to clarify this. And so those are my two pieces of advice for you this week. Make the conclusion to your rough draft the intro to your second draft, and revise the rest of the paper accordingly, and write for readers. Have other people read it and think about, what do I need to say, not to prove this to myself, but to prove this to my reader, to my audience. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about anything, and have a great week. Like I said, I look forward to reading your papers soon.